You're listening to Tripod, the Tricycle Creative podcast, created to help entrepreneurs be better marketers. Each episode features news, tips, interviews, and commentary from the worlds of marketing, media, and, well, miscellaneous. Now, here are your co-hosts, Ross Erosion and Chris Slezak.
Howdy, folks. It is show number 14 of Tripod, the Tricycle Creative Marketing Podcast. I am Ross, and joined, as always, he is the mouth to my chunk, Chris Slezak.
Oh, I do not like how that sounds.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's a Goonies reference.
You're right. I should probably clarify that out of context, that was a poor character choice. I could have went, I don't know, anything else.
Anything.
But thanks
for saying that you are the mouth to my chunk.
There you go. So maybe we should redo that. Do you want? I mean, we have that opportunity. Should we just redo that?
What's done is done.
Wow. He just says, forge ahead. Keep pedaling, as we always say. And this is a show. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll be the chunk to your mouth.
That you're making it worse. Why would you make it worse? The audience forgot what it was, and then you brought it back, made it worse. This is a show not about terrible intros and references. No, this is a marketing podcast, really for businesses of all sizes, to help make you a smarter, better, more informed marketer. And a lot of our topics are around content and digital marketing and social media. Every show, however, we cover three topics: media, marketing, but I wasn't in love with the content we had. So I'm really liking the topics we have here. And but before we get into that, Chris, what's cooking, man? I thought it'd be a good way to start to hear from you, what you're listening to, what you're watching. And then if it hopefully what good has happened to you recently? Not an if, but what? What's cooking?
What I'm watching, truth be told, is I'm going back and still rewatching Parks and Rec all over again, which has been wonderful.
Smart. I love The Office, but and now this is going to go down on the record, but I think Parks and Rec in totality is a better show.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you for sure. Yeah. Must-see TV is restarted again for the fall, so I'm back into seeing all of those shows that I've been missing all summer long.
I'm not even sure if you like messing with me on that. Is that a thing? Are you watching like Home Improvement? Is that? I don't.
I mean, I'm into Superstore. Superstore is great.
That's a good show. That's a really good show.
I got hooked on The Good Place. I didn't think I'd like The Good Place, but I'm into it.
All right.
What else? I mean, I'm watching Bob's Burgers, of course. I've been waiting so long for Bob's to come back.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's slate.
What are you watching?
Oh, let me tell you what I'm watching. I can't wait to tell you what I'm watching. I've been watching Amazing Race. I've never seen the show up until a couple weeks ago. I am obsessed. I'm starting from season 1. I'm not talking about like, oh, it's on now. I'm talking about starting from season 1 on Hulu. Never seen it before, ever. And I am loving it. Can't stop talking about it. I told you before when we were talking about Game of Thrones that I would be the guy who will watch Game of Thrones like 10 years from now and want to talk about it with everyone. Well, that's where I'm at with Amazing Race. I really want to talk to people about the season 1 winners of Amazing Race, and no one wants any of it. So I love that show. It's a great show to just kind of have on in the background. I love the travel, so just loving that. I also on the music front, because I know you had said you were kind of in a little bit of a music funk. We were talking earlier this week.
Yeah,
I kind of fell into, and I was too, but somewhere along the way, I got recommended in Spotify Jared Hart, and he's kind of a singer-songwriter, gravelly voicer, which just soft spot in my heart. Like Hot Water Music, Chuck Reagan. I love anyone with a good gravel voice. And I went down the rabbit hole of like, okay, well now let me listen to the artist radio on this artist. And I found Chris Cresswell. That sounds like a made up name, doesn't it? Loving that too. But it's, and we're in fall, so it's a little dark-ish, if you will, but loving both those bands. So I do recommend, you can give them a listen, but, don't let it necessarily take you to a dark place. But I am really, really digging on those bands right now.
I've been listening to this female-fronted punk band called Control Top lately.
Control Top.
Control Top.
Interesting. I'm actually on Spotify right now. Oh, found it. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
So maybe give that a listen. That's one of the few music things I've actually been music things. By
Looks
the
like
way,
they only have
fans.
They just have one album.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Let's
I
say
think
that.
they're pretty new.
I'm doing this right now. It's like you're here and experiencing it with me, folks. I'm saving a playlist in Spotify. This is everything you ever wanted from a marketing podcast. Okay, let's skip ahead to the marketing part of this podcast. We're going to talk about 3 topics today. The first one in the media category, Facebook and Instagram have released some actually really cool updates to some of their video services. So want to talk a little bit about that. Also, on the marketing side of things, we're going to talk about Facebook testing a really exciting feature, a feature we've talked about on previous shows. So I'm going to do a little radio tease and make you actually listen to the podcast for that segment, because it's something that Chris and I are both kind of excited about. May I quote you, Chris, on that?
You can. You may.
I did. Chris says, I'm excited about that. And the last thing we're going to talk about today in the miscellaneous category is faking it till you make it. This was a topic brought to the table, as always, with the miscellaneous category by Chris, and I actually love it. And we're going to talk about fake it till you make it, business owner, entrepreneur, employee, person that's alive in life, whatever it is, we're going to talk about faking it until you're making it. And those are our 3 topics for the show. Chris, are you ready? Let's do it. Whoa. All right, folks. So Facebook and Instagram video updates. So this came from, I think I found this report on TechCrunch. And there's a couple things. So first, Facebook testing a new, and I'm using air quotes here, rehearsal feature. And that'll allow users to fire up broadcasts that can exclusively be viewed by page admins and editors to test new setups, features, and formats before they go live.
I like this.
I love this. And, it's kind of weird because, like, I certainly didn't think of the solution. But when you see something like that, you're like, God damn it. Like, why didn't that come? Where's that been all my life? Now, a big tester of this, can you guess? I don't know. Can you guess who's like been testing this? There's a big brand.
McDonald's.
That's always a good guess whenever you're talking like Coca-Cola, probably. Yeah. No, QVC apparently has been testing this really. And I think that this is so awesome because I'm going to tell you guys out there in listener land, a little secret, like I created a totally fake test page that's closed off. And this is how Chris and I test stuff. You have to create a fake page that's not public to test things in it. It's not practical or helpful at all. And God knows our live streams could use a little rehearsal.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, where was this? Yeah. 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
How dare you, Chris? That was our best show ever. If you haven't seen it or listened to it, it is up on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Hello Tricycle. It's in the video section. I was pretty pleased with how the first one went. It was listen, it's your first live stream. I'm not even going to say our future live streams are going to be perfect, but with this feature, we might just get closer.
Yeah. I mean, there really is nothing more awkward than knowing that somebody might be watching you as you're going like, am I out of the frame? Is this working?
hold on, it's not working. Yeah, it's stressful. Live streams are stressful.
And then you have to be like, sorry guys, if anybody's watching, like, we're still getting things figured out.
How many times did we say that on the show? Let's go back and count. We actually do have another live stream. Chris and I are going to be doing one live stream show a month, and our next one's actually coming up on October 22nd, I believe. That was a really confident put. 21st. Wow. What a prepared show. We don't even know here. I'm actually pulling up my calendar. Let's look. Okay, yes. The 21st of October is when our next live stream shows. We have an event up on our Facebook page also. So if you would like to attend that, you'll get some reminders. We'll post some things too in the next week or so. So that's an exciting, an ability to test out, set up live stream, stuff like that, video streams. Okay. The next thing, Facebook will give publishers the option to edit the beginning and end of live videos in order to get rid of dead air, and doubling the maximum live stream length to 8 hours. So, Chris, I don't know if I told you, but the live stream we're doing on the 21st, we're going to now do that. It's going to be an 8-hour show.
Oh, okay. So we're cutting it down from the 10.
Yes. Okay. We were planning on doing 2 hours that just weren't broadcast, but just for shits and giggles. But now we're going to actually just cut it down to 8 hours.
Okay, good.
Full marathon.
Great.
So we should be, we don't have any problem filling an hour-long show. So I'm sure we shouldn't have any problem filling an 8-hour-long show.
Yeah, we can do 8 of these in a row.
I feel like we've done it before.
Oh, it's certain. Yes, every hour does feel like 8 if that's what
That's, how dare you? Again, that's a great review. Every hour of this show feels like 8 hours. 5 stars.
Getting basically 8 hours worth of content condensed into 1 hour.
We've actually sped up this show. It's recorded 8 hours, but we speed it up so that it condenses into 1 hour typically.
Meaning what you're hearing is the best of what we had.
No. What I mean is we talk really slow, and then you speed it up 8 times. So that's what I mean.
Yes,
that would explain why my voice is so high. That's partially why. And lastly, is that a word? Lastly is a word, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a copywriter, so you know.
Lastly is a word.
Thank you. Facebook confirmed that it is rolling out, this one's pretty exciting, the ability to pre-schedule Instagram grid and IGTV posts up to 6 months in advance.
6 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty nice. Because there is no built-in schedule feature on the native Instagram app.
True.
Which I think is an interesting move, because I repeatedly go back to Twitter, and there are a million Twitter apps out there that obviously let you schedule, but the Twitter native, not having any of it. If they were going to do it, I feel like they would have done it by now. But they just embrace that if you're going to use the app, we want you to be in the moment.
Right.
And I kind of respect them for that, but I also kind of get annoyed by that.
I'm not annoyed by it. I also don't use Twitter much, but I'm reflecting on my own thoughts about this Instagram one, being able to schedule. Because that's kind of how I liked Instagram, was that it was theoretically what was happening then. Although I guess more and more often it isn't.
You had a lot of people, Latergram is still, I think, that's got to be, I think, one of the top hashtags that's always used, Yeah, and we've talked about this.
Schedule a Throwback Thursday then. Is that what this
I don't even know what kind of time bending you're doing there. Are you doing that in a DeLorean? Like, I don't even, what?
Yeah, I'm going to post a picture of me in a DeLorean. Thursday? Yeah.
I don't even.
Here's me in the front seat getting ready.
Okay.
Getting ready to post a photo.
Okay.
Hashtag Throwback Thursday.
Oh, is it a photo of you going to a dance with your mom?
Yes. and then watch as my Instagram picture just slowly fades away.
They haven't added that feature. I'm not seeing that in here. I'm looking at the article. I'm not seeing the fade away from existence feature in Instagram, but I'm sure you could submit it as a requested feature, you know. Now, I don't know if this, well, let me know how you like this. Even though those pre-scheduling things with Instagram on Grid and IGTV, pre-scheduling not available for stories. So maybe that's where you hedge your bets, though, Chris. That stories are more instant, which makes sense. Grid. I mean, this is kind of part of the training I do with our clients a little bit too, is that stories they obviously can be super polished, but they can also they can be a little sloppier.
Sure.
Than a grid post.
Right. They're supposed to be just spur of the moment and grab a few stickers or scribble your finger over something and say hello. I
mean, I guess
they're messy.
They are a little messy, but the thought would be that stories are, the more highly trafficked stories are massive. So it's kind of well, if you're going to let someone schedule to the grid, why not let them schedule to stories? But I do like this as kind of, again, a hedge your bet on this, that grid is more evergreen. Could be. And stories could be a little bit more instant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the big updates I had. I liked all of them, actually, video and content wise for Facebook and Instagram. I'm hoping we're going to take advantage of the kind of the I don't even know what to call it. The first one, the trial run feature, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be great to just have more people not looking like a-holes on a live stream.
Yeah. Yeah. Unintentional.
Right.
There's enough streams out there where they are intentionally wanting to look like a-holes, Not us.
No, never.
I felt like that needed to be clarified.
Probably so. I'm glad you did it.
And also we can do our 8-hour show.
Right. And spend the full 8 hours, the first 8 hours preparing.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Before we do the live thing.
I'm going to tell you right now. End of year 8-hour show.
With both of us?
Yes.
Okay. I just making sure I was in fact being roped into this.
You are being roped into it. Okay. You're 100%. You've been roped. You're in. You're my co-host. If I'm doing this, you have to do it too.
Yeah, you're right.
Come on. I thought we already covered this. You are the
all right, I'm in.
To my chunk. Come on. I mean, you got to do it. So end of year, 8 hours. Oh God, as I say it, I was
going to say, I don't like how you're saying it as if it's really happening.
It's happening. This is going to happen. Don't hold me to this. But it's going to happen. Also, I don't want to, but we should do this. I don't want to do this, but Chris, this is something that would be cool. I would hate this. Oh, sorry. My inner monologue there was tripping. So my apologies. All right, let's move on. Facebook's testing. What are they testing? Let's find out on the other side of the bell. So we've talked about this feature in the past.
That's right. We talked about it in the past. And this is now scheduled from then.
I don't even understand. Stop manipulating time. Are you using the time stone? What's going on over there? Stop it. I don't feel so good, Chris. Okay. Anyways, focus. We've talked about this. You very specifically talked about loving this, and now it looks like it's being tested. Tested in Australia, where all things are tested, I think. They have officially rolled out their screenshots, and they are testing removing or hiding the number of likes from posts.
So the removing the embarrassment of having none and the bandwagoning of having a bunch.
Yeah. So what you'll see apparently is instead of like name and plus and 500 others, you would see like Ross and others. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Screenshot looks actually pretty good, right? And Facebook has said they're running this test to see if it will improve people's experience on the platform. Now, I think this is kind of an interesting move because I feel like this may require some tweaking of the algorithm. The number from what I can tell is obviously still going to be available to, I would assume if this is a business page, like you would still be able to pull the metrics on it. It's just not visibly public, just to clarify. But I think this almost feels like an altruistic word, like the right word for this. Like this feels like a goodwill move by Facebook.
Right, it's balancing everything. So odd.
It's so odd.
I mean, I bet the opinions will be different depending on how popular your posts are, right? I mean,
yeah, that's true.
I bet the people who get a ton of likes aren't going to like that no one knows that they have a ton of likes. But like you said, I mean, the algorithm, I assume, will still be mostly operating on the same metrics, and so anything with a lot of likes is still going to be showing up at, toward the top or more often.
But I mean, the thought being that, is this a move, again, just for goodwill, or is this a move that allows Facebook to also start to tweak the virality aspect of posts?
Oh, because now they're putting up a smokescreen.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Because, what are they getting out of it?
Because to me, it's like this has been a big thing they've been battling, right? The virality specifically around, I'm going to use them. Fake news, if you will.
Sure.
And the virality of fake news, we've talked about this on previous show, or conspiracy theory content or racist content or whatever. Now, the smoke screen, you don't see the number. Right. So you can't necessarily be like, oh, it allows them, I don't know, like plausible deniability, if you will. This, again, the smokescreen of like why this thing isn't spreading. Maybe it gives them more control over that.
Right.
Under the veil of doing good. And I hate to be like Nancy negative about it, but I mean, Facebook really doesn't have a great track record of doing good things.
They don't. Right. I mean, they're not just doing right out of the goodness of their heart. Facebook is yeah.
I mean, particularly
not true.
In the past week, I don't know if you saw the leaked audio of Zuckerberg talking about if Warren gets elected, that's bad news for them essentially.
Right. I don't know how many people like that story though.
No, and they wouldn't want to show you probably. Even when I shared it, I'm like, why do I have a feeling that the reach on this post is going to be garbage? Why do I have a feeling that reach is going to be really low on this post? Mm-hmm. Call me crazy. Now, apparently, they've been running these tests on Instagram and getting some data back, but Facebook's a different beast. And that's even kind of what their Facebook spokesperson said. Different tests are needed because Instagram, photo, video. Facebook, there's a lot of different post options and types and content. Links, events, photos, videos, just copy, just text posts that you just write,
We've come a long way from Ross is fill in the blank.
Wow. What a throw, man.
Those were the days, right?
That. Wow. That was a different time, right?
You didn't even get an option. It was just Ross is, and then you had to fill in the rest.
Ross is. Man, I totally forgot about that. There really is quite a shift going from that.
Yeah.
I mean, going even back to what we were talking about with Twitter, how Twitter is kind of like still to this day forcing you to be in the moment because you can't schedule on the native app, you know?
Right.
Like Facebook kind of turned the corner on that and said, they've kind of just, I mean, I guess in some ways listened to their user base, excuse me, and given them whatever they want at the expense of keeping them so they can continue to farm them for data.
So do you think people like this change? I mean, like anything on Facebook, people will complain about it and then they'll get used to it because, what are you going to do about it?
Either do or you leave. I mean,
yeah. What are you going to do? Find another one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think as we talked about before, I think I will like it because with likes being somewhat the currency of Facebook, aside from the actual Facebook currency, but with likes being somewhat of a currency, it is like having everyone's salary posted for you to see what everyone else is making and making you feel either good or bad in comparison. So, I definitely feel like overall my experience will probably be a little better. But I also feel like I don't look at that as much as I used to.
Here's where I think this is an important, maybe two ways this is important. A, if it just starts to change the culture a little bit of Facebook, great, right? That it's not as like obsessed. But two, from a content creation standpoint, if this gets you back or gets you to a place where you're like, stop focusing on whether or not this is going to be something that I should do this only because people like it, or I should not do this because I think people won't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Create content. Just create content and put it out there. And if it's true to your voice, if it's helpful to a customer, if it's interesting to a prospective customer, that's what moves the needle. That I think is, and that's kind of a big leap, but if that's where that change in culture takes businesses, that's a good thing. Like, stop worrying about if it's perfect, or if you see Gary Vee out there making a video, it's got 10,000 likes and you're like, oh, I'll never do that. It's like, you know what? You probably won't, but you don't start there. Gary Vee himself, you don't start there. You start at the 10 likes, but you know what? Like, just get in the habit of making content and learn from it. Don't get obsessed over the likes about it, because that's kind of what can stop you from doing it, is that, oh, no one's going to whatever, this isn't any good compared to this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, and you know what? I think honestly, with a lot of like the small to even medium-sized businesses that the Tricycle Creative works with, a lot of them, we got to work with them to track their analytics anyways. It's about doing. They're not even at the point of tracking,
Yeah.
So they're not even there yet. But I think this is exciting. I think, again, if this could cause a shift, and you know what, even if this is Facebook's move to try and put up a little bit of smoke screen and wrangle their algorithm back a little bit, I don't even necessarily know if that's fully a bad thing.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So time will tell. And as time goes on, we will certainly tell you what and how this evolves, or for what it's worth, it'll just come straight to your Facebook feed. And one day you'll be like, whoa, what the hell? My like counts are gone. Yeah. And those two jamokes on Tripod, the Tricycle Creative Marketing Podcast, they told me all about this.
Although I almost feel like if I didn't know and they took it away, I maybe wouldn't even notice it first.
Interesting.
Right? I mean...
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if they will... I wonder if they will announce it or just do it.
No. Oh, like
if you'll get something on your feed... Because they own it, so they can force the thing on the hey, this is a big update. Here's a 10-second animation of right.
You may have
why we're doing it.
You may notice some changes.
You may do it. Yeah.
Do you think they'll do it?
Do you think they'll do that?
The other way being, you may have noticed some changes over the past few days, meaning they'll roll it out, no announcement, and then be like, "Hey, did you notice?" They'll have to address it.
I'm kind of with you. I actually don't know. Well, maybe I would know. I don't know if I would notice it immediately, but I don't know if it feels like a big enough change that if they want to ride this as a goodwill thing, then they would do an announcement to say, we're doing this because, we don't want you to be obsessed over, not getting enough likes. We want you to be you, and we want you to connect with your friends and your family, or something like, you know what I'm saying? And your customers,
right.
Something like that. A more well thought out and better thing than what I just said. Or they'll just cut this audio and use this in the announcement.
I'm going to put my bet on that.
All right, Chris, we come to the ever popular, ever requested. I ran out of other words. Today is a bad vocabulary day for me. The miscellaneous topic. So here is where I take the baton and I toss it your way.
And I fumble.
And you fumble it and fall over on the track.
My pants fall down. Everyone laughs at me.
I trip over you. And it's a whole thing. It's our college years relived.
Today, I want to talk about faking it until you make it. I feel like it's something I've been sort of dealing with myself professionally lately.
As a co-host?
No.
Oh.
No, there's no faking this. This is all real. No, I wanted your opinion on faking it until you make it. I looked up some articles about it, and basically what it boils down to is that I think a lot of us probably struggle with that imposter syndrome, where you get to the point where you're like, should I even be doing this? How am I even allowed to do this? I have no idea what I'm doing. So, you know what? I take it back. I am talking about this podcast.
I knew I'd get it out of this.
Yeah, no, but sometimes, when I'm writing copy and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but everyone trusts that I do and speaks to me as if I do. And what they don't know is that I'm making it up.
Or scary? Or what's the percentage on empowering versus scary for you on that?
Oh, mostly scary.
80%, 80-20?
Yeah. Because I feel, I think I'm not alone when I say that. Sometimes I feel like I've just fallen into something, and I have no business doing it.
You're not, but I would say awareness is I feel like a critical component of it. The fact that you're aware of it. Some people, I feel like, are out there faking it and believing it themselves also.
Right. And let's say you got promoted to a higher position, and you're in that position going, what am I doing here? I don't know what I'm doing, well, like, what are you going to do? Tell your new boss that, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I shouldn't have this job. You should fire me. You know?
When we were chatting about this a little bit, I also said, and I don't know if you had time to look into this, but I also said, hey, you should look into a little bit of what's called the Peter Principle. Did you have a chance to do that at all?
Yeah, I did.
So I think that these are somewhat combined. So the Peter Principle, probably not the best way explained, but it's essentially that you will rise to your highest level of incompetence. Okay. And I think that these are combined in a way that you have people who I think are faking it till they make it and are kind of, but I feel like in a positive way. It's like they're kind of like what you were saying there is like, I'm in this position. I'm a little worried about it, but I want to prove that, that I can still contribute, or that I can, that I'm a good employee, and then I think you get people who get to a point where they're faking it and they're just, whether they know it or not, they're just going day by day, and they don't know what the horses out of the barn, and they don't know what's going on anymore.
Right. There was an article on Forbes that I found that basically says faking it until you make it, just faking it in general is fine to an extent. Like, it's fine when it deals with confidence, right? You can fake that confidence, but you can't fake competence. Like, if you don't know, you don't know.
I like that.
And if you're dealing with other people that do know, they're going to find you out, right?
I think that's the key differentiation between the Peter Principle and this, right? But yeah, that's very astute. I think that the confidence versus competence.
Right. With the Peter Principle, it sounds like you basically fake it until you can't fake it anymore.
Yeah.
And then once you know so little that you can't pretend to know anything, that's when you've peaked.
Yes, but you stay there. That's the toxic aspect of it. Particularly, This is where the Peter Principle is talked about, like that. This happens a lot in corporations, that they fail upward. It's like and then it's just like they're in this position, and it's like it's almost like everyone's too accountable to say that this person's terrible. It's like, well, it's like, well, they've been here this long and you vetted for them and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, now they're ingrained, they're like a wisdom tooth or something, like their roots are deep in,
Right.
and no one wants to pull it. No one wants to pull that tooth out, Well, so let me tell you, I mean, when you brought this to me, I thought about it, and the thing I wanted to tell you was also, and forget, it's actually been a little while since I've like updated my LinkedIn, but I actually think that this is still on there. I made a point to talk about, like, I have never in my entire career, and I actually put this on my LinkedIn page, I have never been in a role I was qualified for, ever. I started in radio at XM among giants. I am not a broadcasting giant, legend, or, as you can tell from this podcast, really all that good. Just kidding. How dare you? What a jerk. Then I moved on to HR. I moved from broadcasting to human resources, right? Natural progression. Complete left turn. Never did anything in HR. I had a business minor. Never did anything. I created an internship program in HR. Never done that before. Certainly wasn't qualified to do that. Then I went on and joined the digital marketing department, where I created the video marketing component of SiriusXM, their video marketing department. Sure as shit wasn't prepared for that. I did not do particularly well in even video courses in college, right? We didn't have many of them. We were both radio guys. So,
right.
We didn't have many video courses. And at that time also, not that we're like ancient, But even then, like video wasn't super accessible. Like
I mean,
today.
Yeah, I'm not that old, and yet when we were in college, we were still learning to dub cassette tapes, like videotapes.
Yeah, absolutely. So it wasn't even that accessible. And you know what? I think the big thing for me that radio was, I think that's why I got into it, because I could get hands-on with it. If we were both if we were going to college now for the first time, I think I definitely would be jumping into video.
Yeah. I mean, right.
Then I, went on director of marketing for a school. That might have been the one exception. Qualified for that one, right? And then I went and started my own company. And while I am qualified in that I know marketing, I have never started a business before. Okay. Now I say all these things, not, oh, look how great I am. I really say all these things because I will tell you what I was told when I made that first jump from broadcasting to human resources. And they literally brought me in the day after I was hired, brought me in a room, we were chatting, and they said, we want you to know that there were many candidates much more qualified than you were. And he's like, oh, geez, what a start. What a start to my day. And they said, but you had a vision. And that's a vision that like we bought into. And that's why we hired you. And so when I feel like when you're in a position where you're faking it until you make it, chances are, to your earlier point, there are a lot of people there that are probably doing the same thing. Maybe even your boss. I think that people don't give themselves enough credit to be able to forge their own path. And this requires you to put in the time and the effort. And I think oftentimes why this works is because other people don't want to put in time and effort to anything. But if you do that and you have a vision, and I would even say if you have curiosity, I think you have to have curiosity. I think that you have to want to be someone who genuinely wants to learn about your role, other people's roles, how you can make it better, how you can create something that is more beneficial to the company, that is smarter, that works better, right? If you can do those two things and then bring it to your boss, bring it to other superiors, bring it to your coworkers and get the kind of buy-in and support, that is how you start to transform the faking it till you make it. Because then what happens is you are making it. You are literally then making what you want to do.
Well, right. And isn't fake it till you make it just another way of saying, like, go along with it till you learn it? I mean, you'll learn it eventually by doing it. And so just keep doing it and eventually you'll know it. And then you're not faking it anymore.
I agree. And I think it's about not only learning it being how it's been done, how your company what they need to be done, how it's done before, what they need done, and then how you essentially kind of want to do it or how you want to do it even differently.
Yeah. And being somebody who works in a corporate setting, it is hard to shake that a lot of times to say like, well, this is the way we do it or this is the way it's been done. It's like, okay, well, can't it be done this way then now? Like, why does, there is, I think it's that resistance to change, I think is just laziness a lot of times,
Absolutely. And I think a lot of that is it is kind of a dance. And I'm not even going to say that it's, it can be an uphill battle with that. And that's why I say like, it's something that you kind of have to be prepared for, like, because it's either, I said this the other day and it was to someone talking about like productivity. And it's like, you either make shit happen or shit happens to you. That's how I feel about it. Mm. That is actually the base, the most fundamental reason why I obsess over productivity is because it's like, I don't want shit to happen to me. I'm going to be in control as much as I can of my destiny and of my work and of my day and of my life. Now, maybe that's a little bit coming off as like, oh my God, that's how controlling are you? Like that, you're obsessed. And it's like, well, what else is there to be obsessed about other than like, not letting people take advantage of you and not letting these idiots who don't know what the fuck they're doing tell you what to do. Yeah. I have found in my experience that if you're able to come up with a better way, articulate it properly, get some buy-in from colleagues, and sometimes it takes a couple bites of the apple, but if you get it in front of the right people and you're at a company where you do have people who are invested, you get it in front of them, you can move some mountains. You can absolutely do it.
I definitely agree with being able to articulate your ideas. I think it's hard to, it's harder to argue or harder to, people aren't going to push back as much if you can explain your thought process. I even have had that with writing choices. I'm like, I take a risk, I know there's a chance that whoever's signing off on it won't like my idea, but I can at least defend it, Yeah. And then if they still don't like it, well, then that's fine. And I have to accept that. But
absolutely,
I at least like to take the gamble before, before anybody even has the chance to tell me no. I'm ready for that fight already.
And I think that, depending on kind of how this shakes out, if you're finding you're faking it till you make it in a new role and you have subordinates and you have managers and you have cohorts, I always spent a good amount of, first month or so, like getting as much information from all of them. I mean, very Socratic. You come in and you're just trying to information gather as best you can. And in some ways, like you kind of play a dum-dum if you already know, but play dumb because you want to hear from other people the why. You want to hear them articulate so you don't get this bullshit. Well, that's the way we've always done it. Yeah, but why? Why have we always done it this way? Like, why do you do it this way? Is there a better way that you think you could do it? I did that a lot with my video role. Like, I actually didn't know that much about video, but I had a vision and an idea. But for a good amount of my, when I started in that role, it was talking with all stakeholders, videographers, producers, executives to understand what they thought of video, how they did video, what the day-to-day was like, what the challenges were, because you got to like have all the data, right? And then I think it's you no longer again are faking it. You are now informed. I think as if you refuse to get get to that informed state, you're always going to be in the role of faking it. You have to take that step to understand the problem and the why and well, we always doing it this way. I hate that. I hate that. It's the worst. It's the absolute worst. Yeah. And whenever people would ever say that to me in any of my role, I would just, oh God, this is the worst answer. If you don't understand why you're doing it that way, that's a problem. I think that's a failure of another manager to explain, this is why we do it this way. Everyone should be questioning those things. As a guy who runs a company, I would want people questioning process. I may have a good idea and I may have what I think is the right idea, but I always say, like, I'm not the singular person that has the good idea.
Right. For instance, maybe we shouldn't do an 8-hour live stream.
Chris, that's where I draw the line.
I'm just questioning these ideas.
How dare you? How dare you? All right, point taken. Maybe we won't do an 8-hour live stream. I would, if we did that, the before and after we would be wrecked. The before and after when we do this show.
It'd be the before and after of our friendship, I think.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Chris, no. All right, the 8 hour, folks, I'm sorry. But if Chris is going to hold our friendship hostage, then I'm afraid the 8-hour show that you've all wanted, everyone's been asking for it. We're just going to have to put that on hold for the foreseeable future. So I'm sorry, folks. So yeah, that's kind of my thought and take on the fake it till you make it. I've been there. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Listen, I have had my business Tricycle Creative for now 2 years. There's still a lot of times where, you roll. You just, and I think, it's always not always, most of the time, 98% of the time for me, it is that confidence part. It's scary.
Yeah.
But it doesn't just live with if you own a business. It's no less scary if you're an employee at a business. I don't think that many people want to be like found out as a fraud.
I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah. But I think there's also this thing of like, listen, if you're not making the effort, I always also felt too, if you get to a point where, you either no longer have the interest or the ability or the strength to kind of keep pushing forward, it's probably time to get out of that role. Your gut's probably telling you something. Gotta listen to that sometimes. Actually, a lot of times. There have been some times this past year and a half where I didn't listen to my gut and I paid dearly. I think there's a lot to be said for how that thing reacts.
Are you referring to the KFC Cheeto sandwich?
That was one particular incident, yes.
That you should have listened to your gut when it said no.
I had to listen to my gut afterwards. That's a whole different thing. That was the noises it made were inhuman. So yeah, I love this topic. Did you have anything else that was on your mind related to faking it and or making it?
No, unless you're trying to lead me into something. Otherwise,
no. This is are you done trying to fake it as a co-host? Just kidding, Chris. It's a joke.
I've made it as a co-host. This is making it.
I couldn't ask for a better co-host. I don't care what anyone on the internet says. All right. So let me just tell you, I've had many people recently tell me they listen to the show and they love them some Chris. That's true. I swear. If I could cue up the song, I Swear song by the moon and the stars and the sun, I would, but we don't have the money to pay for that music. All right. But you can play it in your head as we finish this episode, show 14. What a show. Can you believe it? 14. Man.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, October 21st, mark your calendars or go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Hello Tricycle. Just mark that you're going to our live stream. Can't wait for that. Looking forward to it. October 21st. Also, show notes from this show and every other show available online. Tripodpodcast.com, which, oh my God, that also, just as a closer, I suppose, we did a little refresh on our website, tricycle-creative.com. Would love for you to go there. Check it out. Updated it. I think with just some better messaging about what we do. Really happy with where we're at on that. So again, tricycle-creative.com. Please check it out. And tripodpodcast.com for show notes from this show and all our other shows. And Chris, do you have anything else in closing?
Yeah, new Possum Posse album comes out November 22nd.
If you pre-order it now, I was going to say that. So I'm glad you did. Where would one go to pre-order?
thepossumpasse.com.
Whoa.
Check it out.
Do it or else. And that has been episode 14. We will see you next time. Hopefully see you on our live stream. If not, we'll see you on episode 15. And I encourage you, get out there, keep marketing, and of course, keep pedaling.
Thanks for listening to Tripod. For show notes and bonus content, go to tripodpodcast.com. Connect with Tricycle Creative on Facebook and Instagram at Hello Tricycle. Connect with Ross at Ross Hero. Connect with Chris on Instagram at Ruthless Chris Steakhouse.